Hello and welcome to Sheepdog Says. I think this is number 15. I've done 2 weeks and a bit in a row now, and that is awesome. I thought today I'd talk about the area I live in. I'm sure that if you ever watch any of Lelujo or Kevin Chapman's videos on here, you'll have seen bits and pieces of our lovely town where we live. I'm not sure if he's ever told you we live in Lincolnshire on the Cambridgeshire-Lincolnshire border, which is annoying in itself because I work in Cambridgeshire. My kids go to a school in Cambridgeshire, but everything is kind of tied into a Lincolnshire postcode, I guess, or I don't know, whatever it is. And so it means that we get all the slightly underfunded, badly treated stuff that Lincolnshire's like neglected and stuff like that. When it snowed, for example, just as a quick one, we just couldn't leave the town, essentially. We were told we couldn't. I braved it one of the days. It was horrific for the mile or so, and then I went over the border and it was clear as day because they bothered to clear the roads over that side. So that's a bit of a side note, but I do feel like we've moved over the border and it's a bit of an odd one, which is weird because we've lived here for maybe 6 years, but it just seems to have got worse. Anyway, this isn't supposed to be a negative rant about the local area. It's just about the weirdness and the quirkiness of it. I think one of the main things at the moment is we're just in this bizarre situation where, so I've got this neighbour who's got a skip in their garden, and it's just a normal skip. They put their rubbish in it. But for 2 days now, there's been kids climbing in it and stealing the rubbish. And we were all like, it's rubbish, what are they doing? Why would you want to steal rubbish? It doesn't make any sense. And there's been issues with them spreading it all over the place and stuff like that. It's been a bit weird and a bit annoying. But it's just an odd thing. And we're like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if they were getting stuff that was useful out of it and flogging it, it'd have some logic. But they're just bored and messing around. But people keep calling the local, like, police community support people, and it's one of those scenarios where they're not really doing anything. It's a bit odd. But what's even funnier is last night, so Pokemon Go has just started doing raids out of hours, like late. Normally they finish in my area at like 6:30, but lately they've started to push them to 8. So me and a load of guys, there's 14 of us last night standing at this this fence down the road doing a Pokemon raid. And the PCSO pulls up. What's happening? What's going on? What are you doing? And one of them just sort of shouted, Pokemon. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she made some excuse about how she thought there'd been an accident, or she thought we were up to no good or whatever. And I thought, what? Like, we're all standing there looking at our phones like this, and she's come out of her way to ask us what's going on. But there's people rooting through rubbish, causing carnage up and down our road, and they've not really done anything. I don't know what they can do even, but the priorities are all funny and weird and messed up. But this scenario is it's not something I've vocalized online, but I'm in like a local group called it's like the local free discussion, they call it, which leads to a lot of arguments in itself, because the idea of a free discussion, people can't comprehend the fact that then the people who moderate it have to delete naughty threads and stuff like that. But anyway, that's just become a source of constant entertainment. We had a lady on there last month who put this big, does anybody know whose car is, this is parked across my driveway? I've just come home and there's a car in front of my garage. What's going on? What is this? Can anyone help me? And then 2 hours later, so not even straight away, 2 hours later, she put an update going, sorry everyone, it was my husband. And just no explanation. It took her a couple of days before she came back and said that he'd borrowed a car from work. But just reading, it was just the witch hunt this caused. It had so many responses and people looking at it, like trying to figure out why this would happen and causing debates. I saw, it's just a weird mix of people in this area. Like yesterday, somebody put on there genuinely that I need a house by the end of the week or I'm going to be homeless. And somebody responded really kindly going, I've got a 4-bed house you can stay in. Let me know, PM me your details and I'll sort you out. First response wasn't from the woman asking because she'd be homeless by the end of the week. It was from another woman saying, I'm interested, I'm looking for somewhere to move to, let me know. I was just like, have you read 2 notes up that this person's homeless in like a week? Could you not maybe let them have 5 minutes to look at the house themselves before you hop in and try and thieve it? It's hilarious. Like, I'm sure if you got on your local group and you saw the people you were living near, you'd find some hilarious stories of people that just blow your mind with disbelief. It's one of those where I just think, when I was sheltered about it and I didn't know, I just assumed it was a nice area where there was obviously going to be some morons, but I never interacted with them. Now it's at a point where there's morons everywhere. I see them all the time, and to be honest, I've started just trolling them. It's just good fun. I start putting little notes up there going like, you're all moaning about the potholes, because there was like loads of potholes down our road. It was like avoiding them was a mad, you know, it's like an obstacle course. And people were going nuts. And I said, well, you have voted for the same council for the past 25 years. Maybe if you threatened them a little bit with change, they might try harder. But they don't get it. They all turn it into a rant about different coloured policies and parties that they vote for and stuff like that. And obviously that's not what I intended. I'm just saying, if you're letting someone be in charge of the area for 25 years, they're going to take it easy. It's weird. If I didn't have so much evidence against me on the internet and so many things that would undermine me, I'd be tempted to have a crack at it myself, because I can't do a worse job, let's put it that way. But no, I don't know, it's an odd one. Having grown up in quite a busy town, I grew up in Grays in Essex near London, and so there wasn't really much. There'd be like school fates and stuff like that, but there'd never be much community stuff going on. And where we live now is different, a lot different. It's like everyone, obviously, I'm guessing everyone went to the school down the road and they all know each other. So we have things like the raft race, which is like a major event that takes over the town for a day. People build rafts and they try and make them down the stream, and they fail all the time. Like, most people don't get very far. I'm pretty sure Kev has tried it before or ended up in the river one way or another. But I've only ever been to it once, because most of the stuff here is really subpar. We went to the local pub after the raft race, and they had somebody on from X Factor. It wasn't a winner, it was like a massive runner-up, someone terrible who come like 8th or something. And they were doing a show where they were singing songs, but what they kept doing was like going, celebrate Deeping Raft Race, come on, and singing the name of the town in every single song. So they couldn't get a song going because they kept trying to find the ways to say Raft Race or Deeping Raft Race in the tune, and it didn't work with any of the songs. And no, I don't think anyone had asked them to do that. I don't think the pub landlord had said, I'm going to book you, I'm going to pay you, but you have to get the name of the town and the event into every single song you sing. We have, what else do we have? We have like events. We have a Christmas fair every year that's always trash. I remember paying £2.50 per child to send my kids into this glass maze, and they literally walked in the door, just walked round this glass box and back out the door. They were in there about 15 seconds. I looked at the guy like, you've just taken a fiver off of me. I at least expected them to be in there for a minute. They won some sort of prize on a thing, and before we'd even got down the road, it'd already fallen apart. It's just a weird, like, everyone says, oh, the area's supposed to be nice. Like, for example, they tried to build a Domino's here, and there was a petition to try and stop the Domino's from happening. Being a troll, I started my own build a Domino's in Deeping petition. I only got like 1/10 of the signatures that they got, but there is a Domino in Deeping, so I think I was the victor. But the reason for it not happening was they wanted to maintain the beauty of the area. They wanted to maintain the niceness of the town. The same town that has like a 2-bit blooming Christmas fair and a really odd raft race with X Factor runner-ups turning up, and a group where people are desperately trying to... It's such a mess. It's such a weird place. We also have like a rugby club that seems to run the town now. I don't know. They seem to be behind everything that happens. They're quite good people, but they run like a fair that's always it's not very good. Again, I don't know why these things really are there. It's just like, again, it's rubbish rides that are broken. I remember putting my daughter on one and then watching as nuts and bolts come flying off of it. Never again. We have like a beer festival every year, and it's a weird one. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the strawberry beer Fruly, but they have a weird thing where they'll have the Fruly tent and they open the Fruly and it's gone within an hour, and they never prepare enough. Like, I don't know whether they just, you know, bring 10 times the barrels every year. The first few years, I quite liked it. I had a bit of a sweet tooth, I guess, and bought it. Now, I can't stand it. It's just sickly. But every year, it's the same thing. You turn up. I always just start buying the beers based on their names. They're never nice. I don't think I've ever had a nice beer at this event. But you'll always hear the announcement, Fruly is going on sale at 8. And then by like 8:05, it's like, we are now out of Fruly. And there'll just be all these blokes wandering around with these bright red drinks that they've all just waited a day and a half for. You know, whenever I've probably been there about 2 hours before we're like, let's go. You know, I've had 8 beers and they've all been horrific. I'm off. They'd always have really random cover bands on and stuff like that. This might be really normal now. This might be how everywhere else is, and Grays is just a bit of a pit. But I don't know, like the highlight of when I was growing up would be like the school fete at my local school. We had a massive field and it'd have like hundreds of stalls and we'd spend a whole day there. I remember they'd have a massive beer tent. I remember one year my cousin broke his leg about, I don't know, 2 weeks before it. And I was wheeling him around telling everyone that I'd broken his leg in a fight. And I look back now and realise how horrific that must have made me look to all of those people. There are probably a couple of hundred people that live in my hometown that believe that I broke my cousin's leg because we told them I did. We got this elaborate story. We talked about it. They'd be all like, well, why would you do that? I was like, well, he annoyed me. But anyway, that, you know, that was pretty much the only thing we'd ever do. I don't remember there being any other major events that we'd ever go to. They'd sometimes have events at the local library or whatever, but here our local library is a random empty looking like house with a downstairs that has some books in it. I think they tried to shut it down and there was this massive camp. This is again how weird it is here. They tried to shut it down because nobody used it, and then I've seen in the group I talked about earlier, there's people that went down to Parliament and 10 Downing Street and they're there with their little Save Deeping Library banner that they'd specially made to keep the library open. But again, I go there for Pokemon raids all the time and it's never anyone in there. It might be because I go on Saturdays, but still, never anyone in there. But yeah, this whole town's odd and funny. I guess it suits the fact that I live a bit of a cartoon life because it's just a cartoon place. I'll have to try and share some more of their random nonsense stories that they go through because, I mean, the one with the guy that I said about the woman trying to find out whose car it was just blew my mind. But there's been people. There was a woman who was complaining that this bush hadn't been cut in the entire time she'd lived at the house, and she wanted to know whose it was and who was responsible for it. And then she found out it was her bush, it's her garden, she should be cutting it. Which again, it's just hilarious because these people are oblivious. So you think I'm mad? I'm probably the sane one around here. You got to remember as well, Kev lives local and he grew up here, so that's a pretty good endorsement, I think, for my sanity. But anyway, let me know a bit about where you live. Give me some comments, give me some subscribes, likes and whatnot. A bit of a shorter one today, I think, but I just was baffled about the whole police thing last night and this weird skip thing today. Apparently, the knowledge of the skip has spread around the local school. Now all the kids know about the skip and they all want to get involved. It is literally, I saw when I was driving home, having read this on the group, I was expecting this to be a wonder skip that was the biggest skip I'd ever seen, but it is probably one of the smallest skips I've ever seen, and it's just outside a house. It's probably got a mattress in it, but these kids are treating it like Disneyland, which, yeah, I guess maybe to a kid it is. But I'm going to finish this video, I'm going to edit it, put it online, and I'm going to go get in the skip, and I'll see what I can find in there. Have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.